Good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us tonight. My name is Dr. Andy Feltz from Columbus, Ohio. I have the pleasure tonight of introducing you to Dr. Stephen Moore, who will be presenting. My background is I'm an optometrist, founded a mobile healthcare company, and now serve as a clinical director for what is the largest mobile healthcare company in America. I saw this technology and got super excited because I knew this would be a big part of the future of healthcare and needs to be a big part of the future of healthcare. So Stephen, Dr. Moore is the gentleman that has really been a great mentor to me early on here. He is the innovator. He's the visionary that saw how this technology could be brought to the healthcare arena and how the economies of scale, once this device gets placed in a practice, really benefit the patient, healthcare outcomes, the doctor financially, and have great residual income opportunities for reps. And that's what we're going to have him present to us tonight is, from a rep standpoint, how does this leveraged and residual income benefit somebody who wants to, promote this device into healthcare arena. So without further ado, Dr. Stephen Moore from Jupiter, Florida. Thanks, Stephen.
Hey, thanks so much, Andy. And thanks for you guys for joining us tonight. And I know many of you reached out a while ago, and we have just been extremely busy. So first of all, I apologize for not being able to reach out to everybody. I figured this would be a great way, to get everybody exposed to what we're doing so that we can keep up with the demand and scale things faster for those of you that are interested in getting started with us. So I'm one of the founders of Healthcare Alliance, and what we're doing is setting up the distribution to a new medical technology that I'm going to go over here tonight. That's very exciting. I have been involved with this project for about 14 years, a little bit more than that since it was in its infancy state, and really have, with some colleagues, we've helped steered the company to setting up the distribution in medicine. So we've got some distribution set up in the US, some in Europe, some in South America. If you guys are interested in expanding with us here domestically, and if you do have any international contacts, there are some opportunities there as well. So what we're going to talk about here tonight, just to give you an overview of our technologies and our business so that the rest of this presentation is in context, is this technology on the left here is one of the biggest revolutionary technologies of our time. It's addressing the number one cause of preventable disease, which is our diet. And this was originally funded independently from the National Institute of Health to screen for risk factors of disease so that we can intervene much sooner on in the process, because usually when we intervene with disease, we intervene too late and we get poor outcomes. So the NIH was looking for ways to originally screen for risk factors of macular degeneration, which is the leading cause of blindness. And it's been expanded to cancer and many other applications. And so we have the global exclusive rights to this technology. There's no competition. We essentially own a biomarker. It's similar to a pharmaceutical company having the exclusivity to test cholesterol and then being able to position their statin wherever they put their tests out there. We're not measuring cholesterol. We're measuring diet and lifestyle, specifically antioxidants and oxidative stress. And we've got the number one and most effective. In fact, it's the only product or solution that's been proven and guaranteed to get results within 60 days, or we give people their money back. So we have a monopoly on both sides, both the test as well as the solution. And there's revenue derived for physicians. So this is something that you can bring to your physicians that brings cash revenue into their practice, which they're all looking for right now, and helps them shift and empower them to shift towards wellness and prevention without having to do really anything that technical or difficult. This is a very simple tool and product line to use in their practice. So essentially they use the device, they test every patient, at least the MA does. The patients that score low, which is most of them because of their diets, they recommend our supplement. And then the patients go on a subscription to that. And that generates revenue for the doctor on the test as well as on the supplements. And you generate a commission every time you place a device, and there are residuals that you get from all of their future product sales. I have some distributors that we've trained that have made close to $500,000 from a solo provider that comes in at about $40,000 to $50,000 a year from just a solo provider that's effectively integrated this technology. So what we're going to do here is just talk about some key bullet points here, and then validate these bullet points, and then we'll show you how the money flows, and we will also answer some questions that you have, if you have any, at the end of this conference. So there is a chat section here. If you look to the top right, you'll see a little chat window. And if any of you guys have any questions, feel free to chat there. And I'll also see if there's a way for us to unmute you too, so you can ask your questions at the end of the webinar. So 6 key points here. Number 1, medicine's broken. I think we all know that. Nobody likes the healthcare system here in the US. It's a disease management system, and we need to make some changes. Number 2, diet, number 1 cause of preventable disease, and we are doing a terrible job addressing it. And when you have problems like this and you have solutions to them, you can create a really incredible opportunity. And these are 2 major problems that we're solving right now in healthcare. Number 3, there's a huge demand for nutritional supplements. Half the population is taking a supplement, according to the CDC, and nobody knows if they're working. So if you are taking a supplement, which I'll bet at least half of you are, because statistically that's what we know it is, ask yourself, is the supplement you're taking working? How do you know? And I'll bet you don't. And so it's because there's never been a way to measure it. So we're going to talk about that market and how big that business is. And then point number 4, we'll talk about in more detail this technology and some of the products that we have, the company behind it, which is a fantastic company that's has about 500 mutual funds are investing in our stock right now. And then number 6, we'll talk about the revenue stream. And some reps start with us part-time as making an extra 20, 30, 40, 50, 100,000 a year on the side. And our top reps last year averaged $500,000. We have some distributors that are in the $5-6 million range before we had this device. And we believe that we'll be able to, for the people that really want to go big with this, some of the biggest checks that have been paid out in Asia so far have reached $2 million for a single month. So this compensation plan that the manufacturers put together, it can really go as big as you want it to go, depending on your appetite, your network, and how much time you want to put into this. So I think that's important to understand. So point number 1, medicine's broken. When you talk about or talk to physicians, we all know that preventative health in America is terrible. We all know reimbursements are terrible, and physician lifestyle has become horrible as well. And so when you've got these 3 problems here and you can solve them, which is what our business does, physicians become motivated to want to talk to you, and they become thankful that you're bringing in something into their practice that's really fixing health in America and their patients, as well as fixing their lifestyle and bringing in a cash revenue stream. So what's happening here is more and more people are going into Medicare. People are sicker than ever, and less money is becoming available. So physicians are getting squeezed on both ends. They're having a hard time making payroll sometimes, and they have no control over what these third-party payers are making them. And that's why you see physicians bringing in aesthetics, Botox, all kinds of things, because they know that the insurance game is something out of their control. And if they want to really thrive, they have to look at what's going to generate cash revenue. Plus, if you guys have sold products that required insurance reimbursements, you know that the run is going to be good for maybe a year, 2, 3 years. The insurance companies are going to catch on. They're going to slash the reimbursements, and all that work you did to set up your business is gone because the insurance companies changed the rules. So the nice thing about this, it's an all cash business. And when we look at physicians, this was an article from Medscape talking about how physicians are just burnt out. Something happened on January 1st where our business has just accelerated. Part of it is because we've laid down such a great foundation for growth and we're reaching a tipping point. But I think also on January 1st, a lot of physicians started looking at their year last year and they said, you know what, enough is enough. Medicine's not going to get any better. I can't rely on these insurance companies to fix it. I've got to take control of my practice. And they're very, very open, more so than we've ever seen, to look for other ways of adding value to their practice. And Medscape talked about how when people are burned out, physicians are burned out, that drives a revolution. Happy people don't make changes, but dissatisfied people are willing and open to look for changes. And that's a major trend that's pushing this forward. In fact, it's so bad, physicians are seeing a lot of their colleagues, committing suicide and things like that, which is a really, really sad thing. because they've gotten to kind of the end of the rope. And this is actually a big problem right now that's talked about in medicine, that physicians are so depressed because they've done so much work to do good for their patients, but the business of medicine is just so difficult. So what we can do here is really help so many of the physicians that with this type of program. So let's talk about point number 2, diets. We know our diets are terrible, but if we're not measuring it, we really can't do something about it. And so this has created really a new opportunity in medicine. So number one, we used to think that you could get everything you need from your diet. And according to the research, in fact, this was done by the USDA, nobody was getting optimal nutrition from their diet. So theoretically you can, but when we really look at the numbers, nobody is. And so JAMA, this isn't really new news. This was 15 years ago. They published a major article saying all adults should be taking a multivitamin. And we know that people are doing that. And the problem with the supplements companies out there is it's a very distrusted industry. There's a lack of quality control standards, and there's no way to measure. So these marketing practices have just gone out there where these companies market things, whether they're with the way they run sales, the way they package their items, the way they tell their story. But if we're not measuring things, we really don't have any science to these products. And so most people are confused. And there's a lot of problems as well where in New York, the New York Attorney General filed a cease and desist letter to 4 of the major retailers of supplements, including GNC, Walmart, Target, and Walgreens. The Vitamin Shop had a lead contamination issue. So we know that people are turning to supplements, but there's a lot of problems with the current business model and the way it's being done. Yet, when you look at the sales of supplements, so this is when you start to see charts like this is a great business to get in front of. From 2000 to 2017, the supplement market has more than doubled. It's growing by $1 to $2 billion a year, and it's a $37 billion market, projected to be $60 billion just here domestically. And the great thing about this from a business standpoint is it's very fragmented. There's no dominant player that we have to go up against. And the problems is when people go to the pharmacy or drugs or wherever they're going to buy their supplements, health food store, Costco, they don't really know what to take. They don't really know if it's working. And so they kind of just guess and they cross their fingers that it's working. You've got teenagers and so forth that are recommending supplements to patients. And I really think that healthcare providers are much more better positioned and educated to get involved in this business and make these recommendations. And with the power of this device and the products that we have, we now have an easy method for them to do it and redirect this $37 billion market into health-related facilities. And so it fits the medical model very well for the first time. In medicine, we evaluate things, we make a recommendation, and then we reevaluate to see how that recommendation is working. So whether it's with blood pressure, whether it's with vitamin D, so you see now like vitamin D is a really hot topic because people are getting it measured and they're finding a lot of deficiencies. And now you see a lot of people taking vitamin D supplements, understanding the value of that. And that's a blood test. It's not a revenue generator for the doctor. It takes weeks to get the results of that typically. But when we look at the supplement market as a whole, we all know that antioxidants are good, but we don't have a way to measure them. And that's always been where the question mark is. We take these things kind of blindly. And so the technology that we've acquired from the University of Utah, and we've invested over $100 million in commercializing this, really creates a whole new model to disrupt this $37 billion market. And so we look at what testing has done in healthcare. Cholesterol testing has created, this statin industry, I don't know the latest numbers. This is an old slide, but it's probably over 30 billion right now. Bone density scans, when we can measure that, people started taking more calcium supplements. Blood glucose monitoring is a huge, huge market now. And the next new biomarker of our time is looking at antioxidants and oxidative stress, which plays a big role in inflammation as well. And so we now control this test, this biomarker, and we've got about 2,000 devices out there. Our goal is to scale this up to about initially to 50,000, which is about 5% market penetration, and then we'll see where we can go after that. So a little bit about this technology. This wasn't just some gadget we invented to market supplements. This technology got its genesis from Nobel Prize winning science from 1930. And the NIH funded the development of this device here to screen for macular degeneration. It was developed at the University of Utah Center for Biomedical Optics and their astronomy department. And the reason their astronomy department was involved is because it's actually used in the Hubble telescope to tell us the composition of distant stars and galaxies. So if you look at astronomy, it has to be non-invasive and it has to be very precise. And so what the researchers thought they could do was apply this to biological tissue. And so originally they were testing in the eye. We then bought the technology because we realized that we could also test in the skin and actually get a very easy tissue measurement, which is far better than a blood measurement. So the first device when I started with the company was in 2003. We thought it was awesome that we had this portable device. We didn't have to get people kind of scanned by this, looks like a weapon of mass destruction or something here. But we had a portable device and we could bring the device to the people. It took time. It took 10 years to get it to where it is now, where it's very user friendly, and it takes medicine time to embrace new things. So over the years, not only has this technology been advanced now to where it's completely wireless and a 30-second test, but our company was awarded the most innovative company in the entire United States, along with Apple Computer, for developing this technology. And we've won a lot of other awards with it as well. So it's portable, it's very cost effective. We find that when we test people, 94% of the people we test fail the test because their diets are terrible. So we've got a big problem that we can fix, and that creates a really great opportunity because the product line that we have has close to 100% response rate. We're the only company that will actually guarantee performance of a supplement, or we give people their money back. And once they see their score improve, they now know it's a better product, and they don't go back to taking the junk they were buying at GNC or elsewhere. So some studies here. There's a 10-year study from Yale University that recently got published. The cool thing about this is we don't have to get into the weeds with the science. This is kind of our card here where 10-year study from Yale. Most physicians take this at face value, but we can certainly dive a lot deeper into the science if we need to, but you don't need to during your sales presentation for physicians. This technology has been well validated by the scientific community. There are over 85 peer-reviewed studies that have been published with it to date and growing. It's been published in a study from Stanford, Yale, Texas Tech Medical School's got several devices. Even Dr. Oz did a whole show about it and preventing cancer. And some of the work that we're doing with genetics and aging was featured on the Discovery Channel. They did a whole documentary of some of our research. We are the first nutraceutical company to get the approval to sponsor the U.S. Olympic team. We're listed in the physician's desk reference, which is pretty unique for a supplement company. So that's your physicians like to see that. We're certified by the National Safety Foundation, and we're a Forbes top 100 most trustworthy company, top rated by the Better Business Bureau and Dun & Bradstreet. So this is a very well-funded company on the New York Stock Exchange that's trading at over $70 a share. And what they're doing right now for the first time is because of what's happening in medicine and because of the model that we put together and because of the acquisition of this technology, for the first time, we are now have the ability to go into healthcare. And we believe that medicine will be by far our biggest distribution channel. And so what it does is it solves this issue where we can now test people, and doctors will test every patient that comes in along with their blood pressure and other vital signs, because diet is the #1 cause of preventable disease. And now we can measure it very easily, non-invasively. The patients then go on the product, which gets shipped to them in the mail. So physicians are not having to inventory or bill or tie up resources or any of that nonsense with retailing stuff. It gets direct shipped from the manufacturer. And then the patients then come back in to get retested. So the doctors make money on the test. And then every time these supplements are shipped to the patient, those customers have an account number that's linked to the doctor, which is linked to you as the sales rep. And every box that gets shipped out, you make a residual forever. So this is actually an equity stake, which is a willable, sellable asset. It's a very unique opportunity that we're providing in healthcare here. So what we're measuring is this balance between the bad guys, these free radicals and antioxidants. The more antioxidants you have, the better. They're related to all kinds of diseases. And really, when you look at a cross section of the cell here, not trying to get into the science too much, but what we're measuring are the nutrients or these carotenoid antioxidants, which are the actual nutrients that give the fruits and vegetables their color. So when your doctor says eat a lot of colorful fruits and vegetables, the reason is so you can get these colorful nutrients into your cell, and they basically protect your cell as they get laced within the membrane. And this plays a role in almost every disease state in the body. So there's so many applications to this technology. So what we do is you get a baseline score. Once you get the baseline, in about 2 months, we can see 100% response rate, and then we can then track those patients over time and help them maintain an optimal range of these important antioxidants. We've done 30 million scans to date, so it's the largest nutritional database of its kind. We know that your smokers, your obese patients, your chronically ill patients are going to be down here, and average Americans not much better. But the people on our product, we can get them more than double their score. So we're talking about a huge improvement in scores that we can see with these products. So some of the diseases that are related to what we're measuring here, these carotenoids, this was a study published by Harvard in the Journal of National Cancer Institute, showing that high levels of these carotenoids will significantly lower risk of breast cancer. This one study alone is a reason for every woman to get this test done and monitor this test. I'm not going to get into more of the details of this study here, but I wanted to mention this. This is just one study here. In fact, if you do a search on the literature for the role of oxidative stress, antioxidants, or carotenoids, this was a literature search on PubMed in November, you can see the number of studies relating what we're doing to Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, cancer, stroke, pain, thyroid disease, surgical recovery, joint pain, rheumatoid arthritis, and these are just a handful of the diseases related to these antioxidants. So you've got a lot of applications in healthcare. It's not just one targeted market. You can literally walk into any healthcare provider and provide value to their practice. So point number 5 is the company behind this. So this company, Pharmanex, was started in 1995 by the former director of medicinal chemistry for Merck. Michael Chang actually developed and discovered the first statin, which came from red yeast rice, which led to the discovery of Mevacor. Joe Chang invented a few drugs called Lodyne and Rapamune, and then Carl Djerassi invented the birth control pill. So these scientists were experts in pharma at drug discovery. They understood natural medicine probably more than anybody because they had researched about 50,000 plant samples during their careers. And what they had discovered was that the natural compounds were often and usually working better than the drugs, but the drug companies won't produce natural things because you can't patent it. So they wanted to really bring this data to market because the natural data was showing it was better when it was produced right. And when they looked at the vitamin supplement market, to them, it was just a bunch of snake oil. Nobody was doing the standards that they were used to seeing in pharma. So they raised $40 million in VC funding in 1995 to start their own company. It was the largest nutraceutical startup ever. And they were applying pharmaceutical standards in their knowledge base to really develop this product line. They were originally in about 40,000 pharmacies. So it was a retail model. And then they were looking for a better way of educating consumers. Retail is very hard to differentiate your product. It's really just a price and packaging play. And so Merck tried to buy them in 98 for 130 million. Monsanto tried to buy them, and they didn't want to go back where they started. And so there was a skincare company called New Skin Enterprises, which was a direct sales company, and they were doing about 500 million in sales at the time. So they had a lot of cash flow to invest, and they were looking to expand their research engine. They bought Pharmanex as a wholly owned subsidiary, ran it through a direct sales model or word of mouth model. And when that happened, their first month, they tenfolded the distribution that was being done in those 40,000 pharmacies. So word of mouth advertising, or this, they had almost like a network marketing type of approach. It's one of the most misunderstood business models, But when it's done right, we all know word of mouth advertising is the best form of advertising out there. And that's why this company was able to grow tenfold their first month over those pharmacies. So they continue to grow the company in that fashion to about $1 billion. And recently, they built this new innovation center here. So this building here was a $150 million investment. 2 floors of this is a lab, so it's the most advanced lab in the nutraceutical and skincare space in the world, looking at anti-aging. This is their main corporate tower, and this on the left is our distributor center. So these buildings were all designed by the same architects that did the Apple buildings. This company invested $150 million in these buildings recently. It was all paid for in cash. So there's no mortgage or anything like that. This is a very financially sound company. They own and operate all of these buildings here. This is another new facility they built in Asia, which is a $50 million facility. So what happened was when that acquisition took place, about 5 years later, they then came across this scanner technology, and they thought that this would be a great tool to be able to demonstrate that their products worked. So they were originally going to go through to their existing sales force, word of mouth advertising. And when I came on board with some colleagues, we really looked at the business a little different. We thought that we could start to go into healthcare. Let's go where we could scan as many people as possible, because we know the more people we're going to scan, the more opportunities there are to tell people about the benefits of the product. And where else is the best place but a healthcare office or a health club or a spa, places that have huge traffic where people are interested in their health. So in the beginning, we started going to chiropractors and spas and so forth, and we had a lot of success in that model. We couldn't go into medicine because Nu Skin did not have the medical rights, because that wasn't where they were looking to go with the technology. And 14 years ago, medicine didn't really care too much about nutrition. Things have changed a lot since I've been involved with the company. And if you look at any of the functional medicine conferences, the anti-aging conferences, those are where the physicians are happy, they're enjoying themselves, they're making money. And that's where a lot of the movement is. The flow of money right now in healthcare and in our economy is going towards wellness and anti-aging, and we're perfectly positioned in front of that. So we had the foresight to see that 14 years ago. And when the Pharmanex and Nu Skin did their reports to see the sales of the devices that were out there, when we started, the most productive ones were in the hands of the people that we were placing them in through our healthcare model. And so we started to get some interest in medicine back then, and we eventually convinced them to get the medical rights to the device, and that opened up the doors for us to place these in medical offices. The rest of their sales force really did not have the contacts, credibility, or resources to grow in medicine. And so they really gave up on this program, and they went to market some of the easier products that the average person can sell, such as skincare and so forth. And then we then formed a brand called Healthcare Alliance, and we figured out all the tools and presentations and so forth and strategies to really take this into medicine and set up a whole new distribution channel for this technology and product line. And we've ramped this up to about 2,000 devices right now. And we're looking, again, like I said, to grow this to about 50,000 initially. So a little bit about Nu Skin. This is a company that's been in business 33 years. They're in 54 markets. They've got over $1 billion in assets. They're investing $60 million in R&D every single year. They're the 5th most trusted company according to Forbes, and they are publicly traded on the New York Stock Exchange. So applications to this technology is almost any type of specialty, because we talked about antioxidants play a role in so many health conditions, and so you've got a very diverse group of physicians that you can go and talk to. So what I'm going to do is, if you guys have any questions about the science or anything I spoke about so far, just feel free to send a message in the chat, and I'll either reply to your message or see if I can unmute you. But what I'll do here is show you some of the revenue models, both the revenue model for the doctors and then the revenue model for you. So the investment for the physician to get started with this program is $3,400. When they make that investment, you as the rep, you get paid $1,100 to $1,400 off the top. 1,000 of it you earn within the first 48 hours. So you can make some money really quickly with this. But what you can also do is generate residuals. And I'm going to go over some of the averages that many of our reps are making. So what we'll do is we'll talk, number one, about the things that drive this revenue spreadsheet is the number of scans the doctors do. So in this model, we said they're going to do 10 scans a day. Clinically, they should be testing everybody. And in this model, we're going to say they're going to charge $20 for the scan. We found that $20 is really a sweet spot. It's a number that brings in cash revenue into the office right away so they can get an ROI. But it also is something that is very affordable to patients. So we're going to say here in this scenario, they're going to test 10 patients a day. 2 of those patients are going to go on the supplements. We're going to put the average order as $100 a month. And we'll build in an attrition rate. And the cool thing here is we can even do a profit share for the staff and build that in too. So in this scenario, the doctor's going to do 200 scans a month. They're going to put 40 patients a month on product, and that's going to do 4,000 in volume. Over the course of a year, at the end of a year, they're going to have 359 patients that are receiving these products on a monthly basis. We're building in attrition here, and that's going to be 35,000 in volume. So the doctor, month 1, we're just going to kind of go down to the bottom here. They're going to make their money back and net $700. So they basically got an ROI in 3 weeks. I don't know any medical technology you can ROI that quickly. Month number 2, they're going to make $5,600. And by the time they get to month number 12, they're going to make $14,000 that month, which is over $100,000 their first year. And we have physicians that are doing this already. And so we know that these are realistic figures. We have physicians that are doing higher than this. We have some that are doing low. You're always going to have physicians that are non-performers for whatever reason. It's not unlike anything else. But these give you a good idea of the numbers. So then most of our reps, there's a couple ways to get involved. If you want to just market the scanners and help the offices get up and running, then you can make a residual of 10% of their gross sales forever. If you want to get involved in more of a building a distribution channel and bring in reps underneath you, then we can go over how that works as well. There's an opportunity to do that too. So in this scenario, your first month, you're going to make $400 from this account, $800. By the time you get to month 12, this account's worth $3,500 for that month alone. And so let's say you had 10 accounts like this, you're generating $430,000 in annual commissions from 10 accounts that are averaging 359 patients on product. And so that gives you kind of a sense on how that works. You can put as many of these devices out there. You're not limited geographically. Once you do get an account on board, that account goes under contract with the manufacturer. Everything is paid from the manufacturer to the doctor as well as to you. You don't have to track anything. You don't have to ship anything. You don't have to worry about paying your reps. It's all handled by the manufacturer. So it's a very seamless program. And once those accounts are acquired by you, they are protected accounts from the manufacturer. And you can expand this anywhere in the country, wherever your referrals or contacts take you. You're not limited to a geographic region. So that's how this works here. If you guys want to, if any of you want to get into any of the tiers of income, if you want to bring reps underneath you, I can show you how that works. Just ask me in the chat box. But if not, we'll kind of just stick with this model. And then if any of you want to tier this out, then we can, handle that one-on-one. So question from Matthew. Wanted to know how they picked the data point for the blue or above 50,000 and above is what is a healthy level. So what David's asking here is, well, if we go back here, why blue is a healthy level. So we've done 30 million scans. So we've got studies done with several million data points. And we know that people that have healthy behaviors, when we look at fruit and vegetable consumption, smoking, obesity, we know the people that have the healthy behaviors are going to be in this blue zone or higher. What we found is about 1% of the population's in the blue or higher, about 5% in the green. The rest of the people are down here because most people are eating terrible. I mean, their average American eats 2 servings of fruits and vegetables. One's French fries, one is ketchup, and it's that's actually true. So so we can now bring awareness to help drive better behavior and provide supplements to help people. So is there a limit to what offices can use this? No, this is technically not considered a medical device. It's a measuring device. It's not diagnostic. So it's measuring antioxidants. There's a lot of things that are related to antioxidants. So any type of practice can use it. And it's, if you want to expand outside of healthcare, you're not limited to putting these in medical offices either. So there's a lot of flexibility with where these devices can be placed. Luke's asking about orthopedics. Yes. So why would an orthopedist do this? So we know that orthopedics are, when they do surgery, if that patient smokes, is overweight, or has diabetes, or has a bad diet, we know they're not going to heal as well. Their tissue's not as healthy. Well, those are the four major things that actually affect your score. So obesity, smoking, poor diets, and diabetes are the four major things that drive that score into this red zone here. And so if we know where that patient is, we can bring the awareness, we can put them on some supplements, start to change some behavior, and improve the health of that tissue. And that's been shown to get, when you boost antioxidants, to get better surgical outcomes. I have some surgeons that actually won't even operate on their aesthetic patients unless they're on this program, and they get their score over this 40,000 mark because they just see such better outcomes when they do that. And this also plays a role in inflammation too, Luke. So is the unit FDA approved? So the unit is FDA cleared. The FDA, this was submitted to the FDA a while ago. The FDA does not know how to classify it because there's so many things related to antioxidants. So they have chosen not to classify it as a medical device, which was actually what we prefer to do as well, because then we don't have to deal with a lot of that unnecessary and additional regulation that you have with medical devices. So there's a lot of other approvals that it has, like a Chloe approval and other things that are very difficult to get. So it's under the jurisdiction of some other certifications, which it has. And anyone has questions about that, I mean, Texas Tech Medical School has 3 devices in their clinic. So there's a lot of administrative tape that we had to go through to get that approval process, and they like the device. So let's see, limit. Okay, so last question, Jerry, you want to know, how does it work if you bring on reps? Okay, so before we go into that, are there any questions, any other questions that people have before I go over some model if you bring on reps? Okay, so let's say that you guys have teams in place, or you've got some friends that you would want to do this with. You can create a network of distributors, whether it's with people you know. There's also ways for physicians to get involved because this is a cash business. We're not technically a healthcare company, so we don't have to operate by a lot of the guidelines that exist for companies that are registered as healthcare companies. We operate in the nutritional space, and so there's a lot of things that we can do that medical companies can't do from a reimbursement standpoint. So in this scenario, let's say that your average doctor or average account had 100 customers. So again, we're seeing in that figure we did before, it was 350. And let's say you had four people that were doing that. And then let's say everyone referred 2 people into the network. So that would generate 20 grand a month of income for you. And the way that works is, let's say you were doing 12,000 in volume, you get 23% of your personal sales. So you're getting $2,700 off of that. You had 4 people that you recruited, whether they're a doctor or a rep, that's doing 12,000 in volume. So you've got 47,000 in volume on your first tier. At a 5%, 2,380 is what you make off that. So overall, the company is paying 44% of the wholesale volume that comes into the company. And rather than you having to create all your tiers and making it complicated, the company actually creates the tiers from the manufacturer, and then they pay out everybody accordingly. So this is a very fair and transparent compensation structure that if all you want to do is sell product or all you want to do is recruit doctors, you can do that. But if you want to create these tiers, you have the option of doing that as well. So let's say those 4 people each recruited 2. So you've got 8 on your second tier. And then that would be 95,000 in volume. So you make 4,700 on that tier. And if those 8 each got 2, you'd have 16 there. And that'd be 190,000 in volume or $9,500 on that. So this could go up to 6 tiers down. 5% of every tier, and you can put as many people as you want on any of these tiers. So you can, if you've said, let's say I'm not going to go get 4 people, let's say you're going to get 6 people, and everybody gets 2. You can see your income jumps quite a bit, because now you've got 6 becomes 12, becomes 24, becomes 48. And then this is the income you make on each one of those levels. So that equate to 56,000 a month for you, with 90 accounts, each having 100 customers. And we're not even going into the 5th and 6th. There is something new that's going to be coming later on in June. We haven't announced it yet. This percentage is actually going to go up as high as 40%. So they're going to be doing some things to enhance what we're doing here. Everyone will automatically get upgraded on that. So all the business you do, you build a base, and then everything will get upgraded. So any other questions that you guys have here? I can put in bigger numbers here if you want to also. If you want to say, hey, what if you got 8? Everybody got 2. And this is how some of the people in our company are making, several $1 million a year. This compensation has massive leverage in it. And so you can grow this in a lot of ways, depending on how aggressive you want to be. Let's say you got 6 people, and let's say everybody, rather than 2, everybody got 3. That's another way of getting there. If everybody got 4, this is all, but you're just multiplying by a factor of 4 instead of a factor of 2. Okay, can you open your own wellness anti-aging storefront? There are some restrictions on that. The company does not want to create a retail distribution model to compete with our existing distribution model. So if you open up an anti-aging store, there are some ways that you can test people, but there's some restrictions on what you can do from marketing and what you can have in the windows. So, but yeah, we do have these in a lot of wellness and anti-aging locations. They just don't want to have it as a retail type of environment. They want it done through a personal recommendation based on new healthcare acts being passed. And yeah, so Luke, you're asking about quality care stuff. So yeah, so as patients improve their nutrition, we're seeing huge improvements in disease states. Now, we can't make disease claims from a manufacturer standpoint, because only drugs technically can make disease claims. But we do know that the role of nutrition and antioxidants and how they prolong disease, and we're seeing a lot of physicians make huge improvements in the health of their patients after they've implemented this program. So yes, that can be very beneficial for them. Medicare. No, we do not want to go into Medicare. Medicare screws up everything. We want to keep this a cash business. Yes, when you guys come on board as distributors, anything I show you, you get access to. We're here to help you. Luke, yep, I know you like that answer. So yeah, we don't want insurance companies and Medicare screwing up a cash business. So, the vitamin market's 37 billion and growing at cash. Let's keep it that way. It's much more fun to do it that way. So, so yes, everything I have, you guys have access to. We have PowerPoints, spreadsheets. We do webinars. We record webinars. We're happy to jump on the phone with your prospects and help you close deals. We've got a team to help you go over science. We actually have a national training coming up on April 12th to 14th. So if you wanted to come to those buildings I showed you, we've got a 2.5-day training event if you want to hit the ground running. It's not a requirement to attend, but if you want to make the big money, I'd recommend getting out there as soon as you can. All right. So those of you guys that are interested in getting started with us, I think when I close this, I think it'll redirect you to a survey, or you guys can reach out to me. If I know some of you may have gotten invited by somebody else other than me on here. We opened this up to a few other people here. So this webinar was by invitation only. So someone thought enough about you and kind of what you've done in the background to invite you onto here. So make sure to reach out to the person, whether it's me or someone else, and we can discuss any other questions, how to get started or next steps with you guys. So if there's not, doesn't look like there's any other questions. We're having a lot of fun with this, and we're looking forward to you guys joining the team. Have a great evening, everybody. Bye-bye.